Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So here I would like to cover the new upgrade level of the Doohickey. Also the unfortunate nerf upcoming to the Dragonfire belt item. I will go and compare different belt items and we'll see what should you be using. Is the Dragonfire any good now? So first of all, let's cover the Doohickey. Well, this will be coming with the event Wonders of Gone August the 22nd. However, if you already have the reagents, you'll be able to make yourself one. You can buy the reagents off the auction house, but it'll definitely be at a premium price. I would just recommend waiting for the event. Just need a little bit of patience and you'll be able to grab it yourself. And it will indeed have a very good position and potentially the best multi-target belt item. So what you'll need is first a legendary Doohickey here. So it's just a normal upgrade rates. You've already seen that before. Just throw in some preservation wards to protect your items. You'll only need a very few. And there you go, you upgrade it. You now have a legendary one. You will need another legendary one to get it to mythic. So we'll just do that quick. And at that point, you can upgrade a legendary one. And as you can see, it needs to have a second Wondrous Doohickey. This is additional to the one you're upgrading. Now you also need these gizmos and these thingamabobs. So all of those you can already obtain in the game. There won't be any new items added with regards to that to the Gaunt event. Meaning, yeah, you can already get this. From there, 50% upgrade chance to get to mythic. So simply use some preservation wards again. Should not need many. You only need like one or two and you should be able to upgrade it as we do here. And it costs us just one attempt to do so. And we now have the mythic Doohickey. If we check the buying status, it is unbound. You will be able to sell it and it'll probably go for like 200, 300,000 astral diamonds. You'll totally be able to make some profit off the event by that. The Gaunt event's also pretty good for getting pres rewards, like we just used some there. And you can also get coal motes. You can see the list of rewards here. I will cover the event when it comes out, so don't worry. But yes, we now have the Doohickey. If you go and equip it though, it will become bound like this one, bound to your character. And there, it now floats around you and has that animation. It's the same as before. It just now has a cool glowy effect with it. Even letting off a little bit of smoke. I guess it's fire themed and gonna fit with module 29 in the fire themed maps. So I'm pretty happy with it. I would though appreciate the ability to say turn off the animation when I wanted to. The workaround is to just switch to fashion gear and then you no longer have the animation of it. Same with all of the other ones like the Dragonfire. But wearing your gear, you then get it floating around you. If you've seen anybody with it, that's where it's from. The Dragonfire is the little red dragon that floats around you like this. And then there is like the Wondrous Dragon, but that will just float above you like so. Same as like the hawk. The one that has no animation at all is like your owlbear. There is nothing to be seen until you summon it. But ultimately, how good is it? Is it going to be useful then at 300 magnitude? It also has the chance to paralyze your enemies. Well, it's actually going to be very good, particularly with the Dragonfire getting nerfed. Which that part is unfortunate, but I guess they did it to bring this one out and make it competitive. You can see the Doohickey, same animation, you throw it, hits the guys and deals some damage and they're gone. The range or the radius of this item is 15 feet, exactly the size of this area. You hit the guy and centered on them, it's going to deal damage all around in this area. You do have some pretty generous distance that you can hit the guys from, so that's pretty neat. Unlike, say, the Dragonfire, you have to be it's like super close. Here you can be as far as here, throw it at the guys, and it'll still deal the damage. But from there, let's have a look at what did they do to the Dragonfire. How bad is the nerf? Well, just looking at the tooltip, we can see that it now displays its magnitude. It says it deals 150 magnitude on the initial hit, and then deals fire damage of 100 magnitude for 6 seconds. This is a nerf from what it was before, but you can't really tell. The only thing that's evident here is the 10 seconds, which is now 6 seconds, which could be a good thing if all the damage was more piled into a shorter time window. Unfortunately, the damage output has been nerfed because now it only hits 3 times versus what it would before at 10 times. But it's not that straightforward. I did make a document here covering all of my testing of it, but to save you guys the nitty gritty, let's just show you some conclusions. We first look at the module 28 Dragonfire details. So this is how it worked. It dealt that 150 magnitude, that all works fine, but then it has that damage over time effect. So dealing damage over 10 seconds. It would hit 10 times but not be affected by your damage buffs, not be affected by your magical or physical damage boost, not be affected by combat advantage, meaning it lost an awful lot of damage. And so it resulted in about 17.25 magnitude per hit against lesser enemies. And against bosses, for some reason, its damage is dramatically increased and was like about 100 magnitude per hit against them. That totals up to be against just multi-target enemies, the ones you just beat up in groups, would be like 323 magnitude. Against those bosses, 1150. However, this is getting changed with module 29, effectively being pretty heavily nerfed. The magnitude it displays on the tooltip is unfortunately still incorrect. It still has that weird scaling. And we end up with these results. Still the same, 150 magnitude on the first hit, but then the damage over time effect now only hits 3 times. Still not affected by combat advantage, magical damage or physical damage, or your damage buffs. Particularly missing out on combat advantage and damage buffs means it's losing an absolute ton of damage that it could effectively deal. But it turns out to be about 34.5 magnitude per hit against lesser enemies, totaling to 254. And then against bosses, 200 magnitude per hit, totaling to 750 magnitude against them. So yeah, like a 400 magnitude reduction in boss fights, which definitely makes it not the best choice to use in particularly endgame coordinated groups. But just looking at multi-target and comparing it then versus the Gon's own Doohickey makes this mythic one better, because it is then just 254 versus 300. And yeah, to be honest, Dragonfire, it does not have the best area with its damage hit. It's only going to hit enemies in a line, so we aim for this guy. We can still hit everybody, but it does not have the range that the Doohickey has, and now it's not going to have the magnitude to compete anymore. So just be aware of that. I, to be honest, didn't really think it necessary to change it how it was, and if they were at least going to change it, don't just make a simple tooltip update. Actually go and change it so that it works properly with your stats and design it how you intend it, rather than having these all not affecting it. I highly doubt that is intended to be the case. So in multi-target is simply just Dragonfire versus the Doohickey, and the Doohickey wins. I know there are a few other ones, but they are like just not available. You can't really get them in other areas of the game, so I'm going to leave them out for now. Until they become more accessible, that's just how it's going to be. We've had a few belt items over the past modules that came in like a 3000 Zen pack, but yeah, I haven't really covered them because they're just not that available. They actually haven't been that great. But moving to single target, we can see here in coordinated groups, Owlbear is going to win. In just raw damage over time, Dragonfire will win because 750 magnitude every 30 seconds. Owlbear is just 1000 magnitude every 60 seconds. But as soon as you have Artifact Call in coordinated groups, you're doing like 4 times more damage in 10 seconds every 60 seconds. You put the Owlbear within that, and that's 4000 magnitude. Versus putting the Dragonfire once in that, and then once out of that, is only going to be 3,750 magnitude, so the owlbear wins. It's still not going to be that big a difference, and it's the same with your multi-target. Not the end of the world, not the biggest difference. If you just want one belt item to suit all, Dragonfire is still going to be pretty solid. The only issue I have with it is the target cap of 7. However, a quick test reveals that the Doohickey also has only a target cap of 7, so no difference there, I guess. Just keep in mind, it's not like a true magnitude in regards to these here. And that is because you've had to do a bit of jiggery-pokery with math in order to take into consideration these stats not affecting it. So what I've basically done is compensated for that and effectively reduced the magnitude to equate to what the magnitude would need to be if it was affected. So that's where it would be at. In reality, the magnitude is actually higher, but without it being affected by those stats means it's actually a lot less effective than that magnitude. So it would just be false to represent it as such. For example, 972 magnitude, but that's not affected by your stats, so you can just rebalance that to 750 and then have it affected by the stats, and it would equate to the same. And so for clarity, that's what we've done, so we can get an easier analysis and comparison versus other belt items which all use magnitude. They're much more simple. But again, I have no idea why the Dragonfire is still going to scale its damage based on lower challenge targets, and then bosses it's going to deal a lot more damage than on the tooltip. Effectively 34 magnitude on lesser enemies, 200 magnitude on bosses. That is again for the damage over time burning effect. The initial 150 magnitude has always worked, and that scales properly with your stats. Just I don't know why the dot doesn't. So hopefully that helps. Again, I look forward to actually getting this new mythic belt item, Gon's own Doohickey, and we can have some fun with that. Pretty decent at 300 magnitude, to be honest, and very nice. You can throw it from anywhere, and it is a pretty instant cast. But again, be patient, wait till August the 22nd and you can get your hands on it. There is a bit of prep you can do beforehand, and it is essentially just crafting gold. Use your workshop, make gold, and the more gold you have, the more you'll be able to make the most of the Gond event. But once again, thank you for watching. A special thank you to all of these channel members, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.